right up straight though, I'm gonna try. Yeah, yeah. I sit on the inside, right here. Hey.
All right, here we go. Not really sure how I want to start today's vlog, but this is what we're working with. Got the reef cut from Rocky Point, and now I'm watching the surf for a couple weeks. I don't get to get in the water. I gotta let my foot heal up. I'm a big believer in the fact that everything happens for a reason, and it's kind of ironic the fact that I booked a 2-month trip here to Hawaii, started off as a one-way ticket, and now a week into being here, reef cut, can't surf. I'm not really sure the direction I want to take this message in, but what if, you know, the point of that is to help me dial in more of my content and really focus more on the message I want to give to people on social media. Let's talk about nature. Nature is a pretty bizarre thing. I mean, look how blue the ocean is. Look how tall that mountain is. It was touching the clouds yesterday. If there's one word that I could sum up this entire background into, it would probably be encapsulating. The more and more that I surf and the more time that I spend in the ocean, I find myself having zero thoughts in the ocean. I'm just in the present moment with myself, with the waves, and it's quite a spiritual thing if you think about it. I mean, it's gonna be hard for people to understand what I'm talking about if you haven't spent that much time in the water, and especially when the water's clear. When you're in the water in like the abyss of nothing, you swim underwater, you open your eyes, and it's just blue, perfect serenity and peace, and then you come up and there's mountains like this and waves like that to ride. It changes you as a person. In fact, it's changed me so much that one of the only things I want to do for the rest of my life is surf and travel and chase experiences like this, because that is what feels fulfilling to my heart now. And it's kind of a unique perspective on life, especially at 21 years old, but I feel like a lot of restrictions have been placed on us throughout high school, throughout college, in the sense that there's only one path that we have to go down and we can't really branch out and do our own thing. But I mean, who wouldn't want to spend so much of their time out here in nature like this, especially if you surf or you do some type of sport outdoors, you know? Oh my gosh. I deadass almost just died. Guys, what is up? Welcome back to the vlog. Right now I'm driving on Round Top Drive in the middle of Oahu. Apparently this road takes us to the highest possible point that you can drive to on Oahu. I think it's called, hold on one sec. Yeah, Tantalus Lookout. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but should be pretty sick. Holy shit. Like, look, the road is literally just going up, and I'm in this little neighborhood and the road is just going up and up and up. Like, look how windy it is. Oh my gosh. Whoa. I cut my foot open on the reef a couple days ago and I haven't surfed in 4 days. I still can't surf for another 2 weeks probably, so just venturing around by myself looking at cool places like this, so. If I get even close to that edge, I am done for. Oh my gosh. Oh my god! What the fuck? Dude, hold on. We gotta stop right here for a second. This is crazy! My crippled ass limping around out here, but look at this. Oh my gosh. And there's Honolulu over there. There's the Kia. That's Diamond Head. What? This is the gnarliest shit I've ever seen in my life. We're not even at the top yet. Let's go to the top. check this out. This is Diamond Head, which is over there, taken in 1915 and 1919. That's what it looked like. It's all just like grasslands and stuff. And now look how developed it is in there. So much changed here. This is actually crazy. Oh my gosh. You can literally see almost the entire South Shore from here. You can see Honolulu Airport, you can see Diamond Head, and the mountains up here, there's literally clouds. Like we're almost level with the clouds up here. This is so gnarly. There it is. All right. But oh my gosh, I need to make a talking head up there for my Instagram and TikTok during a sunset. I don't think there would be any better time to do it up there. That would look so sick. Milk and Cheerios, hands down, the best midnight snack. Ugh. Alright, well, since in this video you guys have seen some random thoughts that were on my mind when I was watching the surf at my reef cut and I went on a random adventure, I felt like it was only right to conclude this video by talking about purpose and why I'm truly doing this and why I'm actually risking everything and giving this life my all. You know, content, traveling, surfing, all that good stuff. So I wrote a couple pointers down here on my phone. I'm starting to get better at talking to the camera for longer periods of time, so bear with me if I'm fumbling. But the first one is I want to talk about the idea of regret. But before we even dive into that, this life that I'm choosing to live, like surfing and traveling around the world 24/7 whenever I want and being able to get paid while I do it, which, by the way, I just signed my first contract last week to make like $80 from a bathing suit company. I haven't made like anything yet, but when I was in college and all my life even before college, but college is where it really like grew stronger within me, is my passion for surfing and being able to just be in crystal clear water, surfing whenever I want, and just harnessing that feeling of actually being on a wave. It sounds ridiculous, but this is my passion. This is the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that I care about in the world. So where I want to tie this into regret is, let's just make this a long story short, in the sense that everything I've explained about, you know, my dream life is very condensed because I can go on and on about it, but it's not really the message I want to get across in this video, because I also want you guys to apply this in your own life as well. So when we think of the concept of regret, for me at least, what comes to mind is older people, parents, maybe people that may be on their deathbed, right? Because there's a lot of people that end up getting on their deathbed, or a lot of parents that are in regret for not doing XYZ things when they were younger. So, like back earlier in the beginning of this video, when I was sitting on that beach with the mountains in the background and the ocean, I sat there and I just thought to myself, what if I never actually dropped out of college? What if I stayed in college and never got to experience booking a one-way ticket to Hawaii, working in sales for a year and a half, and getting the growth and development from that, right? It's so crazy how different life would be. And the biggest thing that I want you guys to realize and take away from this part of the video, or even the video as a whole, is I want you to picture your dream life and that life that you think about every single day in your mind right now, or those goals that you have. Maybe you want to help your parents, maybe you want to travel and surf like me, you know, whatever your heart desires, picture in your mind. And I want you to just think to yourself, in 10 years from now, if you still had those same exact goals, same exact dreams and desires, and you weren't even one step closer to them, because you didn't put yourself in uncomfortable situations, you didn't start that business, you didn't post that content, and you didn't do what you said you were going to do to get those goals, how would you actually feel in that moment? How would it feel knowing that you didn't take any steps after a decade to not get closer to your dream life, right? Regret is the biggest thing that I fear, because to be really, really good at surfing and get to that pro level, which is where I eventually want to get close to, if not actually get there, you have to be a certain age. You cannot go pro if you're 40 or 50 or 60, because the body just naturally deteriorates over time as you age. So that created an aspect of urgency in my mind. So besides surfing though, this applies to anything. I want you guys to understand how much more valuable and how much more precious it would be to you if you were actually able to achieve those goals and dreams that you have at a younger age. For example, let's say you wanted to give your parents $50,000 because they've helped you out so much in your life. what would the difference be if you were able to give them that money at the age of 25, for example, versus 35 or 40? Imagine how much more time you would have to even give back to them further, take them on trips, do really special things for them, right? But guess what? That only comes when you actually say to yourself, okay, I'm committing myself to taking the steps and doing the actions needed to get closer to the life that I want to live. Because it is so easy to get stuck in your comfort zone. It's so easy to get a 9 to 5 and just settle in a job that pays you decently. But when it gives you raises over time, the raises just even out with inflation. So over time, you're not actually getting a raise and you're not actually making the money at the level that you want to make. Therefore, you can't accomplish your dreams. That's what you have to think about. Your comfort zone can trap you, and it trapped me for so long. And then I dropped out of college when I was 19 and a half. And a lot of people would argue that's still very young, but to me it's not. And the mindset that I move through with life is that everything is my fault and I hold responsibility for every single action that I have, because if I'm thinking in a way that's different from that, I'm going to externalize things that I don't have and put it on other people, the economy, certain environments, and I won't actually take accountability for what I don't have in my life to go out and fix it. So that's why I want you guys to start thinking like that. Overall, more of that part for regret is I would much rather be uncomfortable now and take the steps to live my dream life than be in regret 10, 20, 30 years down the road and say to myself, oh, what if I did that? Could have this happened? What if I actually committed to myself, right? And imagine how much more fulfillment you would have 10 years from now and you knew that you took the steps to achieve your goal. You would have so much confidence and internal fulfillment in yourself, and that's what I want for you guys, and that's what I'm striving to do every single day. The second reason that I'm making this video and why I'm willing to risk everything, loud ass car driving by, but the second reason is because there are an insane amount of people out there to help, and an insane amount of people's minds that I can hopefully change to go out and chase their dreams as well, and that's what I want to do. The principles that I'm talking about also, by the way, can apply to you if you're any age, but if you're younger than me, it might hit a little bit more, because I like to talk to my younger self in a way. Like if 15-year-old Gus was standing right in front of me, or 12-year-old Gus, I would say, how can I help him? And I would tell him exactly everything I'm telling you guys right now, to get out of your comfort zone earlier, to get clear on what you truly want to do with your life, and make sure you learn and figure out the steps needed to actually get to the goals that you want to get. And hey, your goals might also be to get a 9 to 5, to get a stable job, to just get, a regular traditional house, as some people would say, and raise a normal family. That's great. That's a beautiful life, as long as it aligns with you and it's what your heart desires. There's nothing wrong with that. That is amazing. As long as it aligns with you. That's the biggest thing. You have to be living in alignment. So for me, I don't want to be in regret. I want to actually take the steps to live my dream life. I want to help as many other people as I can. And the third reason why I'm willing to risk everything for this life is because I feel an internal calling within my heart that it's meant for me to make content and spread this level of awareness to chasing your dreams to other people. Whether you're religious or not, I want this to apply to you, and it can apply to you. If you are religious, I want you to do this. I want you to, if you don't go to church every Sunday, you should go. If you're Catholic, at least, or Christian, you can still go to church. Going to church every Sunday truly resets your mind and allows you to move forward through the week on sort of a clean slate, quote unquote. It's really helped me. And when you read the Bible, when you sit down at night and be quiet in serenity with your thoughts and with the Lord, you can get, there's a car passing by, I was loud, but you can get so much clearer on what you want to do, because you're actually putting in the effort to not only listen to God, but to understand yourself and your own internal thoughts. And if you're not religious, this can apply to you if you just want to take a walk, for example, or just sit alone in your thoughts and not pray. But as long as you're spending time with yourself and getting comfortable with who you are as a person and figuring out the answers to those questions that we all ask ourselves on a daily basis, like, who am I truly? Like, what is my purpose? What am I actually supposed to do here on this earth? When you can sit down with yourself in a spiritual way or not, you can finally come to understand who you are as a person, what you want to do with your life, and start answering those meaningful but sometimes hard questions that I feel like a lot of times we often avoid, especially if you're between the ages of 15 to 21, because I think at a young age we get a lot of pressure put on us that college and then getting a degree and all these things are like the one set in stone path that we all should do. But in reality, if you look at all the careers and people in this world, everybody does something completely different. Yes, there's a lot of similarities in jobs, but there is an extensive amount of possibilities you can do with your life. And for me, I believe that it is fully possible to build a life around surfing and traveling around the world, but you have to fully believe that it's possible. Because if you don't believe that it's possible, you will not take actions that are in align with that belief. That is one of the most important things. So anyway, that's kind of the rant for tonight. That's kind of what I had on my mind. I hope any of these points can apply to you guys in any single way. If you like the video, like it, comment, subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. And I also want to get some feedback from you guys. What things do you want to see me talk about? What things do you feel like help the most that you want me to expand on? And yeah, I'm happy to keep making these videos. This is my second video. I'm falling in love with this process more and more every day. And I hope you guys have a good night. God bless you, and stay stoked. Peace.